A man removed his nose clip. Then he sniffed the newspaper. He confirmed it was published that day. Just then, a passenger with a cast walked into the cabin. He immediately smelled the scent of explosives mixed in the plaster. He quickly called the flight attendant. He said there was a terrorist with explosives on the plane. The flight attendant was confused, so she called the captain. The captain was curious about how he could smell it out. But the man accurately described what happened between the captain and flight attendant 40 minutes ago. In the cockpit twice, so the captain and flight attendant had to believe him now. This man who could smell bombs with his nose. Everyone called him the Sniffer. After getting off the plane, his ex-wife called. She said their son Alex got into trouble at school. The teacher found contraband on him. If they didn't deal with it quickly, it would be handed over to the police. So the Sniffer hurried to the school. The principal said Alex and 3 classmates were hiding in the warehouse doing bad things. The teacher searched his body and found a big bag full of this stuff. The students had been buying and selling contraband. Now they finally knew who the source was. The Sniffer removed his nose clip, carefully put it in the box, then put on gloves, used tweezers to pick up the contraband, smelling the scent. Its unique smell went through his nasal cavity, being rapidly analyzed by his brain. He asked where the other 3 people were. He could clearly tell this thing wasn't Alex's, so the Sniffer went directly to the classroom. He walked past each student. His nose kept smelling. He stopped beside one student, picked up his backpack, then dumped everything from the backpack onto the desk. There were actually several packs of contraband inside. It seemed he was the real dealer. Alex was wrongly accused. At this time, Alex also admitted that because of loyalty, he was planning to take the blame for his classmate. They had just sent away the ex-wife when Victor the detective called. It turned out there was a murder case in the city. They needed him to step in. The Sniffer's main job was as a chemist. He also worked part-time as a police consultant. He used his superhuman sense of smell to solve various difficult cases. His sense of smell was 250 times stronger than a dog's. He could distinguish over 9,000 different substances. More importantly, he could even analyze clues from scents, then deduce the criminal process. After arriving at the crime scene, Victor explained that not long ago when he was arresting a suspect, the suspect fell to his death, and this suspect was a subordinate of Off, the real estate company boss. When police were preparing to summon Off, they found he was also dead. Off died in an apartment he rented. Time of death was about 12 hours ago. The cause of death was temporarily unknown. There were no wounds on the body's surface. It looked like natural death. No third-party fingerprints were found in the room either. However, the timing of Off's death was too coincidental, so Victor could only ask the Sniffer to come find clues. Just 5 days ago, police received a report. Off had run away with 2 million euros from investors, but unexpectedly he died in the rental house. So the Sniffer took a deep breath, started analyzing the smells in the air. Instantly, various smells in the room entered his nasal cavity. In just a few seconds, he opened his eyes, then straightforwardly gave the answer. Digoxin. Murder, mixed in coffee. Digoxin is a cardiovascular medication, generally used to treat atrial fibrillation and heart failure. It's also a poison from the digitalis family. If it exceeds 50 times the normal dosage, that is, just 10 milligrams, it can cause cardiac arrest and death in an adult. He not only smelled out the murder method, he even smelled out the killer's characteristics, a male between 45 to 50 years old. He was quitting smoking, had a nicotine patch on his right arm. He also smelled a scent everyone loves, the fresh smell of money. The victim's wallet contained 500 euro bills. This type of bill is only printed at the Federal Bank printing facility in Berlin. Aluminum oxide compounds are used during printing. To ensure strength, mulberry silk threads are embedded in the paper. Based on the smell in the air, it could be deduced the killer took the 2 million euros after killing the victim. Based on the killer's residual scent, it was deduced he frequently visited salt caves. Those are rooms with walls made of sea salt. This is a Ukrainian specialty. It can clean the respiratory tract. It has good effects for lung disease, bronchitis, and people quitting smoking. After sketching the killer's profile, they prepared to leave, but then an accident suddenly happened. A cat pounced on the Sniffer. The cat hair immediately made his sensitive nose allergic. Feeling uncomfortable, he could only cover his nose and hurry back to the laboratory. Just as he was dropping medicine into water, Victor called. He said there were over 500 salt caves in the city. To find the killer, the Sniffer would have to work overtime, but the Sniffer said his rhinitis had flared up. He couldn't go out for at least 3 days. Victor lost his super police dog. He could only find the suspect on his own. The victim's financial manager had access to his account records. This seemed very suspicious, but the financial manager had a solid alibi. During the time of the incident, he was drinking with several girls at a club. Also, the manager wasn't quitting smoking. He could smoke 3 packs a day. He wished he could smoke even while sleeping. Victor had no choice but to let him go. But that night, the manager met with a mysterious person on the street. The mysterious person threw him 100,000 as payment. The manager wasn't satisfied and asked for more money. He said he had become a a suspect. He wanted half the money as hush money, but the mysterious person said he only brought 100,000 as agreed. If he wanted more money, he could bring it tomorrow night. So the manager satisfactorily lit up a cigarette and leisurely left. But greedy people never have good endings. The next day, the sniffer was still suffering from rhinitis, so Victor found him an ENT doctor. She reportedly studied in Africa, India, and South America. Her skills were quite impressive. Sure enough, she immediately saw that the sniffer used too much allergy medicine. It had already caused nasal mucosa hyperplasia, and he often put cylindrical objects in his nose. Then she took out her exclusively formulated secret medicine. The curious sniffer smelled it and began analyzing the ingredients. Amazingly, there was a mysterious substance he couldn't identify, so he secretly extracted some medicine to study back home, then went to the scene where the manager was killed. He smelled around the body. The medical examiner shook his head in disbelief. At this time, the mysterious person was actually mixed in the crowd watching the police movements. The sniffer had already smelled out the entire crime process. The killer and the person who killed off were the same. The manager's hand had held a bag containing a large sum of money. Then this bag was taken by the killer. Both the manager's hands and the air had the smell of titanium dioxide. This indicated the bag contained paint bullets, because the main component of paint bullets is titanium dioxide. That is to say, either the killer or manager was a milsim enthusiast. Now the range of suspects had narrowed. Then he went to smell inside the manager's car, then pulled open the body bag to smell the corpse. The medical examiner beside him still looked unconvinced. The sniffer continued deducing. He said the killer and manager knew each other. The killer killed off for 2 million euros, and the manager tried to blackmail him. Yesterday, the killer gave the manager the bag with money. Because they couldn't agree on the amount, they had a dispute. The killer simply killed the manager and took back the bag with money. He even smelled that the killer frequently visited a milsim club located in an abandoned cardboard factory. Victor was once again amazed by such precise reasoning, so he planned to go back to the police station first to check the club's address. Back at the laboratory, the sniffer began analyzing the medicine stolen from the clinic. He quickly identified that this unknown substance was actually a mixture of a plant from South America and an Indian plant. At this time, Victor called. He had already found the club's address. Coincidentally, there would be a competition that night. All members would attend. He had gotten tickets. He asked the sniffer to go together. So that evening they went to the club. The host urged them to quickly change clothes for the competition. They planned to split up. The sniffer would smell each person's scent. Victor would pull up each person's sleeve to see who had nicotine patches. So the sniffer entered the locker room and started smelling. Although these hairy big guys all had pungent smells, he could still distinguish that the killer's scent wasn't among them. Victor was observing in another locker room. None of these big guys had nicotine patches on their arms either. Just then, the mysterious person walked in. The sniffer instantly identified his unique scent. He stared closely at this mysterious person. This guy indeed had a nicotine patch on his arm, but he seemed to have face blindness. He had clearly seen the sniffer at the crime scene, but now he didn't remember. Just as the sniffer was about to notify Victor, the team members went on field. He had no choice but to take a gun and mask and enter the battlefield. A whistle blew. The game began. Team members charged forward bravely. The sniffer directly hid behind cover. While everyone was focused on combat, he observed each person who got hit and left. Soon he finally saw the mysterious person preparing to leave. He stood up to tell Victor. Unexpectedly, he was hit by a paint bullet. The strong paint smell directly knocked him unconscious. Victor followed the sniffer's instructions before he fainted and gave chase. At this time, the mysterious person had realized he was discovered and ran desperately. Then he and Victor engaged in real gunfire. Victor didn't get entangled with him. Instead, he circled to his rear. While he was off guard, he jumped down and pinned him down. Under gunpoint, the mysterious person confessed. He killed Alf and the manager for money, and he was carrying the 2 million euros with him. Then Victor smelled it. The scent of money was indeed nice.